Hi, these comments are for Raul. This is Michael from bettertoeflscores.com, and you sent me an essay that you want me to score for free, and that is exactly what I'm going to do right now. So I'm looking at it, and first of all, when the first thing that I did was I wanted to get an idea of your grade level. What type of vocabulary and sentence structure or sentence style do you have, right? So I went to Microsoft Word and I reviewed it, and look at this. This is remarkable. So your average words per sentence is 26.8, which is academic. Your characters per word is very impressive at 5.4. So you have incredible vocabulary. Use a lot of multisyllabic words, use a lot of higher level words. If anybody doesn't believe me, take about 5 minutes and read this essay right here. You guys see that? Okay, so once I read it, I went to the actual rubrics to give you an idea of how it would score. And believe it or not, I'm not going to score this in the 4 area. And you're like, what? I'm not even going to put it in the 5 area. You would think it would be because of the vocabulary and the grammar. Even the organization is actually pretty strong, but I'm not going to give it that higher score. So the one thing I noticed, I think it's the examples or the lack thereof. And I'm guessing that you're probably a doctor. I could be wrong on this, but based on how you wrote it, you're writing kind of like a doctor. You're writing in a more abstract realm without a lot of specificity to your ideas. So if you look at 5, it says well organized and well developed using clearly appropriate explanations, examples, or details. You did not do that. You didn't do that. We have this one. It is generally well organized and well developed using appropriate and sufficient explanations, exemplifications, and or details. You did not do that. Believe it or not. As good of a writer as you are, you didn't do that. And then the 3, it says, addresses a topic and task using somewhat developed explanations. It says marked by one or more of the following. So even though you are a good writer and you have great vocabulary and grammar, I'm going to put you in the 3 area. And to be safe, I'm going to put you at 375. I'm going to say 24 points out of 30 on it. You're definitely a good writer. You have incredibly high English skills. There is no doubt in my mind at all on that. That's the main thing. Now, I just want to show you 2 errors I want you to be aware of. So, error number 1, teachers are amongst the most important professionals for both developing and developed nations. Thus, at this point, you need a semicolon or a period to separate those 2 independent clauses. That would be one of your errors in here. The other one is here. It says students are more prone to be, you want to make this an adjective, to be inattentive. Now, the reason is because you have to and then you have be. So after the be verb here, you need to use what's called a complement, and an adjective subject complement is going to be better than a noun here. All right, so those are my first 2 changes that I would recommend, but those changes in and of themselves are not enough to bring you down below really 27 or 28 based on your writing. So let's talk about the examples. Okay, so I'm just going to give you one example in one of your body paragraphs so you can kind of compare. So in this paragraph, you said if students are not learning as expected, this could be due to many other variables. It is known that, for example, students that live in problematic families are more likely to do worse than students that live in healthy families. Also, even the students' alimentation might play a role on their intellectual development, as it is known that if under healthy food intake, students are more prone to be inattentive during class time or even too hungry to think about anything other than food. But this is the problem. You talk about students that live in problematic families, but you don't give any example of a student who lived in a problematic family. or you talk about unhealthy food intake, and you didn't give an example to illustrate that point, and the fact that you moved on to your second reason here or your second example without fully developing the previous one, that is exactly why I gave you this score. It says somewhat developed explanations, examples, and or details, right? Now the question is, well, what the heck do you do here? How would you develop that, right? That's exactly what we got to figure out. I want you to compare what you wrote with this one. This is the same paragraph with exactly the same topic sentence. Notice how here you wrote roughly 86 words, then in this paragraph I wrote 197, and instead of the two different things that you included here, I only focused um, on the topic sentence that says due to many other variables. Instead of due to many other variables, I'm going to put due to other variables. Now look at the example here. So I said, for example, I had a school friend who took exactly the same classes as I did during our senior year, and her most difficult class was chemistry. At the time, my friend dated a mutual friend of ours named Jana, who did not show nearly as much interest in the relationship as my friend did. The relationship became so turbulent that my friend could not concentrate on his chemistry class, even though we were lucky enough to have a motivated teacher who was widely recognized by both students and faculty to be the most qualified and effective teacher on campus. Near the middle of our school year, my friend and I had an important chemistry midterm exam coming up, but my friend kept obsessing over Jana and completely neglected his studies. Unfortunately, due to his problems in his relationship with Jana, he scored 33% on that midterm exam and eventually failed that class consequently. Basing our chemistry teacher's pay on students' performance would have been unfair since my friend's performance maybe I'll change this to grades. Would have been unfair since my friend's performance had nothing to do with our well prepared, qualified, and motivated teacher. So, what do we got here? Here, and this is why I'm thinking you're probably a healthcare professional. You have the tendency to think in the abstract realm, which is really how doctors communicate in many cases with patients, even. So your paragraph is just very abstract. It doesn't have a lot of specificity to it. This paragraph is more concrete and it's much more focused. Right? I think if you make that one change, I mean, you definitely have the writing skills. I think that you can get 30 out of 30 on this. I really do. I have no doubt in my mind. I have zero doubts in my mind that you can get 30 out of 30 on the TOEFL writing section. I really believe that. And I do not say that for everybody. I do not. But I'm basing that on that incredible vocabulary and sentence structure and sentence style level that you have. That's why I'm saying that. So you see the difference there? So what you wrote is just simply, it's a lot more abstract in the thought process and things. What I wrote, I actually told a story and I have a specific example. The example itself, it goes on for 150 words, and instead of trying to focus on how people can be distracted by things outside of the class and also not having healthy food diets, instead of those two things, I just focused on the one. So then we go back to the actual rubrics here, and let's take a look here. So if you look at the paragraph that I'm modeling for you, it says here is well organized and well developed using clearly appropriate explanations, examples, and or details. We can now answer yes to this specific aspect of the rubric. So that would be my advice on that. Now, if you have more questions, I'm very willing to help you right now. I don't have a lot of free time, but I'm gonna recommend a couple of things for you. Uh, I'm going to recommend my TOEFL speaking and writing feedback service. Now, I have no idea about your speaking right now, but probably you need some practice with that, I'm guessing, right? Now, with the writing feedback, you can continue to send me writing practice tests on a day-to-day basis, and I will give you feedback to help you get that 30 out of 30 points. And I'm going to recommend one addition thing onto that. I'm going to recommend one time a week we meet so I can go over your writing practice tests to help you continue to think differently on how you approach the writing, the TOEFL writing, and academic writing in general. And if you do one private lesson per week and then you're doing the speaking and writing service, I think that's going to help you exactly get 30 out of 30 points. And I don't think it'll take you more than 4 weeks to get your writing to the level it needs to get to that 30 out of 30 points. All right, so if you're interested and you want to talk to me a little bit more, you can visit me during my office hours. My virtual Zoom office hours are Monday through Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the United States, as you can see, as it says here in my blog at bettertoeflscores.com right there. All right, and have a great day.